There was a story that came out that Hunter Walker's been writing these stories in Rolling Stone about this couple that was involved. They're basically, MAGA heads. They were involved with the Stop the Steal bus tour. And that's the story we had talked about a couple of weeks ago, where they met with Representative Gosar, who said, blanket pardons could be available. And it turns out what he was talking about was that this couple was involved with Steve Bannon in their build a wall scam. And for some reason, they were not rolled up when the other people were. But they were worried about their criminal liability. So the idea of a pardon was pretty intriguing to them. It's unclear exactly what information they're going to provide, other than the fact that they had been hearing about violence that was being planned for that day on January 6th, and they warned Mark Meadows about it. I mean, it's becoming increasingly clear that there were people who knew that there was something else going on, sort of embedded within this stuff. And a lot of people were sort of duped on some level. This couple claims that they thought, they were led to believe, or they assumed, that Trump had access to special information about the stealing of the election.
Yeah, I'm the president. I got the best information.
I control the deep state. And it turns out they thought at this rally he was going to unveil this information. And when he didn't, they were like, what is going on? And instead, he ended the rally by saying, literally the last words that he said was go to the Capitol now.
A lot of ways, I meant that poetically, though.
Now, this couple apparently went back to their hotel because they're like, we're getting out of here. Something's gone very wrong. And they have since been essentially on the lam, because they're afraid that right-wingers are coming after them. It's, there's a certain amount of paranoia that goes with this crew of people anyway, so it's hard to tell what their concerns are. But yesterday and today, Liz Cheney, apparently, because she's one of two Republicans on the committee, was charged with reading off some of these text messages that they got from Mark Meadows that came from Fox News hosts. And it's clear a lot of these people were like, wait a sec. I mean, first off, it's also amazing that these people
took this long.
They're so integrated. Well, I mean, a couple things. One, Mark Meadows is an idiot. You don't give the committee all of the relevant documents you have and then go but wait a second, I'm now not going to testify. What happened is Meadows is such a moron that he thought that Trump would appreciate the way that he wrote about him in the book. Because in Meadows' mind, saying that Trump was ill during going around made him seem like an ubermensch.
It was like the Michael Jordan flu game in Utah.
Exactly. Meadows was like, dude, this is a brag. You had COVID and went around and just
And I still crushed it.
But then apparently Trump was like, no, you're not supposed to tell anybody that I had COVID. I was trying to infect people. And so then essentially, I guess Trump basically said, you better not testify now in front of that committee, you idiot. And Meadows was like, oh, okay. I already gave them all my documentation, though. So now all this stuff gets rolled out. And Meadows, of course, is not there to testify. He was trying to avoid in the first place, trying to avoid a criminal contempt charge that would be voted upon by all of his former colleagues in the House. Apparently, maintaining good relationships with them was pretty important to this dunce. And instead, what he did was give everything to the committee, and then get a criminal contempt referral. Now, look, the implications of this for the criminal contempt thing are virtually nil as far as I can tell. Even Bannon is not going to court until July. Presumably, Meadows would go to court after that. The Democrats are probably going to lose the House anyways in 2022, although it's not for sure. And also, they may look upon Meadows in a different way than they did Bannon. Meadows was the chief of staff. If there's anybody who could claim executive privilege, it would be Meadows, as opposed to Bannon. But we'll see. In the meantime, we have these little gems from the Trump media shop, sometimes referred to in public as Fox News. Here is Liz Cheney, the despicable one, reading materials from former Trump chief of staff Mark Meadows. This is stuff that he provided to the committee before he decided I wasn't going to cooperate. And here are some of the frantic texts that come from the Fox News host, because they're thinking like, God, it's going to be so hard on us to try and pretend like this didn't happen. Remember, Laura Ingraham, hours after she sends this text, is claiming that these people are Antifa. Remember? Here it is.
Helpless. Dozens of texts, including from Trump administration officials, urged immediate action by the president. Quote, POTUS has to come out firmly and tell the protesters to dissipate. Someone is going to get killed. In another, Mark, he needs to stop this now. A third, in all caps, tell them to go home. A fourth, and I quote, POTUS needs to calm this shit down. Indeed, according to the records, multiple Fox News hosts knew the president needed to act immediately. They texted Mr. Meadows, and he has turned over those texts. Quote, Mark, the president needs to tell people in the Capitol to go home. This is hurting all of us. He is destroying his legacy, Laura Ingraham wrote. Please get him on TV.
How is that?
Destroy
your legacy when it's all Antifa.
Yeah, that's weird. And why would Antifa even listen to him?
Why would all of these secret Antifa people listen to Trump?
Laura, it's Antifa. If I tell them to stop, they're just going to do more.
It'll be worse. This is what they want me to say stop so they can say no.
We're going to use, I'm trying to do reverse psychology. That's why I told them to go to the Capitol.
Because I thought they would all go back to, like, storm Nancy Pelosi's office. Wait, no, they did. Oop. Go ahead.
Turned over those texts. Quote, Mark, the president needs to tell people in the Capitol to go home. This is hurting all of us. He is destroying his legacy, Laura Ingraham wrote.
Dear Laura.
Please get him on TV. Destroying everything you have accomplished, Brian Kilmeade texted. Quote, can he make a statement? Ask people to leave the Capitol, Sean Hannity urged. As the violence continued, one of the president's sons texted Mr. Meadows, quote, he's got to condemn this shit ASAP. The Capitol Police tweet is not enough, Donald Trump Jr. texted. Meadows responded, quote, I'm pushing it hard. I agree. Still, President Trump did not immediately act. Donald Trump Jr. texted again and again, urging action by the president. Quote, we need an Oval Office address. He has to lead now. It has gone too far and gotten out of hand, end quote. But hours passed without necessary action by the president.
Looks like Donald Trump Jr. Had a lot invested in this.
That angle is very interesting to me.
Yeah.
I mean, first of all, when Don Trump...
I'm revoking your first name.
Yeah, look, who are you again?
You're so weak.
Yeah, no. I'm going to watch how it goes. But if Donald Trump Jr. is your voice of reason as a country, you're in
big trouble.
Pretty big trouble.
This is like a it's like Succession, isn't it?
I think it's that, and like how this took so to this moment for anybody to say anything. When I hear that, I think that nobody stepped in until it had become a crisis already. And everyone knew Jan 6 was what was leading up to this, that somebody should have stepped in on January 2nd and had been doing something. All these guys doing something in the moment, it's not that impressive to me.
Well, what's also interesting to me is, and we don't know, they haven't, I don't know that they've revealed everybody who was IMing Meadows at that moment. But it would be interesting. I suspect that there are multiple different routes to Trump. And one is through Mark Meadows. And that is where you see the media people going through and the Sun. But I wonder how Bannon or Roger Stone or that crew got in touch with Trump.
Maybe that's like the Charlie Flynn stuff.
I mean, there's just no way that everybody's funneled through Mark Meadows. This guy's a dunce. There's people going around him. It's not like Kushner and, does anybody remember Ivanka?
Oh, right. Forgot about her.
Her press people, Javanka's press people have done a very, very good job in making her disappear. To the point where it's she's going to show up and she's going to be calling herself Ivanka Kushner soon. And then they're just going to both refer to themselves as his middle name or his mom's, maiden name. But that's pretty stunning. It shows you the panic that is associated with these media people whose job it is to carry water for these people.
I'm not going to be able to spin this, basically.